What's up guys, and today we're going to be looking at 5 ways to improve your overall aim, whether you're on controller or mouse and keyboard. These things are going to be pretty specific, as I noticed in a lot of other videos, it has to do with mentality or something just not physical. These 5 tips are some things that you can actually do to improve your aim that are a little bit more tangible and you can sort of see yourself. The first thing you can do is lower your sensitivity just a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy like by 10 points, but it should be enough to feel just a bit different. What this can do is sort of overall improve your aim because now your reticle isn't going to be moving all over the place. It's just going to be easier to hold it in one position or just track an enemy using it. While this tip does have advantages and disadvantages, it will just become a lot easier to aim, especially down lane, while trading off a little bit of close quarters. However, if you are struggling to hit your shots pretty much anywhere, this is a great tip that not only works in Destiny, but in some other games as well. However, if you actually are on a mouse and keyboard, I would recommend messing with your DPI settings and not your sensitivity settings. Unfortunately, obviously you can't do this with the controller. However, when messing with your DPI settings compared to your actual, in-game settings, it may just be a little bit more specific when changing the numbers. So the next couple tips have a lot to do with movement and overall reticle placement. The first one I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to be in a private match, and it has to do with staying on level ground. As you can see, I'm actually on level ground right now, and I'm peeking out and peeking back in, and when I do aim in towards the heavy ammo, you can see that as I strafe, I'm still looking left and right, and there's not really Y-axis movement. Basically, I'm only looking left and right and not up and down. However, let's say that I go over here to these stairs. Again, I'm aiming towards heavy, however, as I'm strafing left and right, you can see that there is still some Y-axis movement going on. The reason for this is that while I am only moving left and right, there is still some Y-axis movement as I'm going up and down the stairs. This is definitely not the only map that has this, as there are many maps that have sort of uneven playing ground that you can get onto. Now this tip is probably the most loose of them all. It isn't really concrete in its nature. There are many situations that you can find yourself in Destiny Crucible, so this one may not be as consistent as a lot of other tips. Overall, just try to remember that it's going to be a lot easier to aim if you are only looking left and right on that X-axis. Overall, it just becomes sort of a little bit easier when you don't have that extra element of up and down to deal with. And final thing on this tip is that this is meant for very new players. This isn't meant for veteran players, even of Destiny 1 making over the switch to PC. You should only really follow this tip if you are getting into Destiny after a long break or you're just brand new to it. Over time, you'll find that your X-axis aim has improved a lot, and it'll be a lot easier to use the Y-axis when you already have that one direction down. The next thing is another actually universal tip and has to do with reticle placement. Reticle placement is probably one of the most important and easiest things that you can change in your overall gameplay experience. Now in Destiny it might be actually a bit harder to understand this, especially when compared to things like CSGO. Destiny is a very quick and fast game, and it might be a little bit hard to keep on that one sightline for a long time. So try to combine my next tip with your reticle placement. Try to only aim at one lane at a time. Just really try to keep it only at one target and not really 2 or more. As you can see in the private match right now, I'm using a sniper and I'm peeking 2 lanes. Again, it's going to be a lot harder to use 2 lanes, especially if you're one of the last ones alive. It's just if they both peek at the same time, you're either dead or in a really bad position. Now, as you can see, I'm only on one lane, and it just overall becomes a lot easier because now you only have to worry about that one target and nothing else. Now I'm actually also trying to keep my reticle in where I think they might be, and not really in the sort of center position where I think I might be able to snap to one quickly. Really, that may work in other video games, however in Destiny, it really just doesn't work. Try to keep your aim where you think they're going to be, and not really a sort of a general location, as it might be harder to snap, especially with your own controller. The next tip has a lot to do with sniping, and actually has some implications in overall aim. It has to do with not only using your right hand or your right thumbstick, but also using your left thumbstick or your WASD. Basically, not only moving your reticle, but also your entire body in game. Now, I actually talked extensively about this in my sniping video, but basically it has to do with eliminating another element when you're aiming. Really, this tip just boils down to if your enemy is moving right, you also try to move right. If your enemy is moving left, try to move left as well. Really, just try to match his movement, and it'll be a lot easier because now you're not moving left and right, you're really just trying to compensate for up and down. Now, I actually used an example in my sniping video, and it has to do with shooting a car from a sidewalk. So let's say you're doing that. This may not be too easy because the car is actually moving quite fast, and you may not be able to even move as fast as the car is. So now this car is moving, and once you're on the sidewalk, you're trying to hit it by moving left and right with your aim. However, now let's say that you're now in another car driving next to it. Now, just boiling down to physics, it is going to be a lot easier to shoot it because now you don't actually have to compensate with your reticle because your own car is doing that for you. This is exactly what you should try to do in Destiny. Try to eliminate another element when aiming. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. Hopefully this makes you a little bit better in aiming, and overall long term it just, improves your overall game in Destiny. So again, that is it, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.